Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Mark with Limo Marketer here. And today I want to talk about the 4 follow-up factors. What are the 4 most important factors when it comes to closing business? And how I've developed this is just from watching the 83 clients I have right now and how they follow up with their customers, who's crushing it, who has a high close rate, and why do they have a high close rate? And there's really 4 reasons I've found. The main 4. And so first off, let's talk about what is a good close rate. I get this question oftentimes, how well should I be closing? Is it 5%, 10%, 20%? And so what I've found is it varies, obviously. If you're in a very competitive market, if you have a higher cost service, so if you're doing maybe charter buses, stretch limos, party buses, something, especially when you're going business to consumer. So maybe not the charter buses, but business to consumer. They're going to be, your average person retail is going to be more price sensitive. And so if we're talking an $800,000, $1,200 rental, many times they are going to get more quotes. Compared to just an airport transfer that's $90 or $100. For that, your close rate should be much higher. So I'm going to say what I'm looking for is a close rate between 20 and 35%. And I know that's a large range. If you do airport transfers, it should probably be closer to 35. If you do stretch limos, party buses, that sort of thing, it might only be 20 or 25%, and I would consider that a good close rate. So what are those 4 factors? Okay, so number 1, we have speed. And this far and away is the most important. I could have this as 1, 2, and 3. Oftentimes, and especially when I didn't stress this enough years ago, I would see, and I actually did an experiment 2 years ago where I had my assistant go on all of my clients' landing pages, which are just one-page websites, and fill out a form. She would document the time that she filled the form out, and then we would monitor the email we filled out the form with and the phone number to see, did the client text, did they call, did they email, and then how long did it take them to do each of those things. So she noted the time that she filled out the form, and the results were crazy to me because I'm like, these people are spending so much money on their leads. Why are they not following up with these like their life depended on it? And it's really like anything in life. If it's something you have to do every day, doing the follow-up, it's work and it's hard to be consistent sometimes. But the ones that are consistent with it reap insane benefits. And so just with a speedy follow-up, and by speedy, some of you might say, oh, what do you mean, Mark? Getting a quote within 30, 45 minutes? No, what I mean is getting a quote out, especially if it's just for like an airport transfer, in under 5 minutes. That is what I would recommend. If it's a stretch limo, party bus, or whatever, you still want to do it pretty quickly. I still recommend, if possible, do it under 5 minutes, but at least under 10 or 15 minutes tops. Because I guarantee you, your competitors are not doing that. And so if all you take from this video is, okay, I need to follow up quicker, then I will consider it a win. And look, I'm sure a lot of you already know this. Okay, so number 2 is the method of contact. So this one is actually an easy one, well, relatively easy to implement. For those of you that are still sending your quotes via email and only email and not doing any sort of text messaging, you are losing out on lots of money. Even for those of you who mainly work in the corporate world, you should still be using text messaging. You're like, well, Mark, I have so much information I need to send them. Well, people don't want a 3-page quote. They're not going to read all that. And you might be saying, well, Mark, it makes it a lot easier for me because they're not going to have any questions, right? I just send them a book. That's a quote, right? And that covers everything because every potential question they have is in that book I send them. Well, let me tell you this. People are not reading your book. They're just looking at the price. So what you want to do is you want to be short and sweet and send an all-inclusive rate. That's a very common mistake I see people make. They send the price, they're like, oh, that doesn't include the 20% gratuity. So make sure you keep your quotes concise, and text message. Highly, highly recommend even sending the quote out. If you're completely opposed to it, then what you should do is when you send the email quote, follow it up, and don't just say, I sent you an email quote. Ask them, hey, did you get the quote we sent you? Right? Because you want to make sure they go in and check that they got that quote. But having said that, guys, don't email the quote, just text them. And if you want to send an email and answer all their questions and send your book via email, you can do that, but just make sure you send their all-inclusive rate. Throw some pictures in there, photo of the outside and inside of the vehicle. Highly recommend that as well. But send that in a text message because you're gonna have much happier prospects, and therefore you will get more clients. So number 3 is going to be post-quote follow-up. And if you watched the video last week, you know the difference between pre-quote and post-quote. So just as a quick refresher, pre-quote follow-up, that is, well, if they call you, there really is none, right? You just answer the phone. But if they submit an inquiry, right, for a price, like maybe you have a form on your website, the pre-quote follow-up is what you do and how quickly you follow up with that quote. So the pre-quote follow-up I recommended in the last video and that I like to use with everyone is as soon as they fill out that form, boom, within 30 seconds, they get a text message letting them know you got their quote request and you are going to get them pricing very quickly. You can even say if you feel confident in under 5 minutes, or just say as soon as possible in a matter of minutes, something like that, and then sending that quote out. And by the way, I go over all this in the last video, but you want to be using SMS templates because it's just going to make you so much quicker. You shouldn't be typing out a new quote every time, a new text message every single time. So post-quote follow-up is after you give them a quote, right? If you're on the phone, you give them a quote and you hang up the phone. I bet you most of you, if they don't book right there, that's it, right? You're not doing any extra follow-up. And I'm telling you, you are leaving lots of money on the table. But you're like, Mark, I don't want to spend the time it's going to take me to follow up with all of those leads. What if you get 10, 15, 20 leads a day for you larger operators out there? You don't want to take the time to go in and text everyone or email everyone. And that's why you need to leverage software. There's lots of different CRMs that offer SMS, email follow-up. The email follow-up, automated follow-up, it just isn't that great. You want to be using text messages. Better yet, use both and then schedule them out so that they don't look automated. But watch last week's video if you didn't. Okay, so number 4, and you might be surprised I'm going to say this, but it is price. And so this obviously is going to influence your close rate, but I don't think you have to be the cheapest. You don't want to be the cheapest or you will be out of business. What I recommend doing is this. For you black car operators out there, search in Google airport car service. I want you to do this search. Now, if you have a Google My Business, so that if you don't have one, get one, they're free. Set up a Google My Business, you can get reviews to it. But if you have a Google My Business profile, what I want you to do is search on your phone from that address. And if you're a black car operator, if you do mainly sedan, SUV, regular Sprinter work, search airport car service. And then what I want you to do is go on those top 3 websites that you see that are in that map. There's 3 listings in that map pack, and I want you to call them, or sorry, not call them, I want you to fill out a quote request. And what I want you to do is note the time you're filling that quote request out, and then time how long it takes for you to get a price, and then note what they used to follow up. Did they send you a text? Did they call? Did they send you an email? And that's who you're competing against right there. So if all three of them take 30, 45 minutes to get back to you, that's a good thing for you, right? Now, if you're more of a stretch limo party bus operator, what you're going to want to search is just limo service. Hopefully that fits on there. Okay, it does. Perfect. Just search limo service because that's going to get you a much higher likelihood to get you companies that rent stretch limos, if their pay-per-click guy knows what they're doing, that is. Request quotes for the 3 companies in the map pack, but then also what you want to do is you want to do a bunch of different searches and you want to see who's coming up in the ads, right? Who just keeps coming up over and over again, because every time you do a search, you're going to see new companies showing up in those top 4 ad spots. Find the 2 or 3, or maybe it's even 4 that are showing up consistently, and you want to do the same thing. Get pricing from those 2 companies. And then you might even want to, below the map pack, get pricing from the organic company, the number 1 that shows up below the map. But you'd be surprised, organic does not get the search, like the lead volume it used to, because it's below the map. You know, not as many people go there. A lot of people are requesting quotes from whoever's in that map. So that's who you're competing against, and maybe that top organic spot. And then, you know, some people click on the ads, or I wouldn't be in business, right? So you might be getting pricing from 6, 7 different companies. And so note how quickly they follow up and how they follow up, their methods of follow up. Now, if they're getting back really quickly with a text message, you know that is your competition. So note their price and just know what you're competing against, right? Because what I typically recommend is when you quote someone, never quote your lowest price. Always, if they're like, okay, thanks, you know, I'll get back to you. What you want to do is you want to try to get some sort of a commitment. This is much easier to do over the phone. It's very hard to negotiate over text. It gives them too much time. But if it's a phone call, you can say, hey, look, I really want to earn your business. We haven't worked together before. How about this? How about I offer you 10% off for this booking, and if you're doing a round trip, maybe you offer them 15% off. First time client discount. I want to earn your business, and I'd love to work together. And that right there is going to close you more jobs, and then you're not quoting your lowest price, because then you have nowhere to go. Okay, so if you guys can do all of these things, I know this video is getting a little long. The main thing is the speed. The speed, and these 2 things are the easiest things to implement. Well, especially the speed, that just takes discipline. The method of contact, that might not be as easy, right? Because you're switching up how your company does things. But I'm telling you this, I promise you, it will be worth it. If you're spending thousands of dollars a month on marketing, number 1, we should talk. But no, seriously, guys, if you're spending thousands of dollars a month on marketing, even if you're not, even if it's only hundreds of dollars a month, you want to be sending quotes out via text message. You're going to close more deals. So fast follow-up with text messages. And then, if you throw in post-quote follow-up and you know who you're competing against, I'm telling you, you are going to close better than 99% of the operators out there. And I guarantee you, you will close more than anyone in your market. So, hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. You know how it goes, the usual. Leave a comment. Let me know how you're following up. Let me know if this helped you at all. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I will see you next week.